It's Tyler and Flash, back with more Flash Life. Let's get things started with the softball team where Central Michigan paid the Flashes a visit at the Diamond at Dix. The Chips would leave Game 1 with a 4-0 win, but the Flashes would battle back to take Games 2 and 3. In Game 2, Madison Cole would crush a solo home run in the bottom of the 6th inning, and Andrea Scali shut down the Central Michigan Bats to earn Kent State the 2-1 win. In Game 3, Emily Lippy and Madison Hirschberger would lead the way as Lippy hammered a grand slam that was followed by a Hirschberger solo shot, contributing to a 6-3 win over CMU. The Flashes then traveled to Fordham for a doubleheader with the Rams, which they would end up splitting, winning Game 1 in dominant fashion 6-2 with 9 strikeouts from LeBeau, but falling in Game 2 by a final score of 2-0. Coming up next, the Flashes will travel to Robert Morris on the 12th before heading to Northern Illinois for their series on the 15th and 16th, resuming MAC play to take on the Huskies. The baseball team kept things exciting at Schoonover Stadium this weekend in a dramatic series with Bowling Green. The Flashes would fall to the Falcons in the first 2 games, but would bite down to come back and secure the series split with back-to-back walk-off wins. In Game 3, Josh Johnson would push an opposite field home run over the right field wall, driving in 3 big early runs. Kent State would concede a comeback in the top of the 9th, but in the 10th inning, two-way star Aiden Longwell hit a long fly ball to center field that one-hopped the fence to score Kyle Jackson from second for a 5-4 walk-off win. The very next day, Jackson reached base in another tie game, this time in the 9th, and made a mad dash for the plate on a shallow fly ball to right from Mike McNamara to deliver the Flashes their second walk-off victory in as many days, defeating the Falcons 4-3 to secure the series split. Coming up this week, the Flashes will host Pitt on the 12th before traveling to Toledo for a 4-game weekend set with the Rockets. The men's and women's track and field teams will get ready to compete in the Tiffin Track Carnival on April 15th in Tiffin, Ohio, and the women's golf team will head to Ohio State to compete in the Lady Buckeye Invitational. This week, we were joined by Nick Stricklen from the men's track and field team. Let's check that out. Nick, first and foremost, thank you so much for taking some of your time out of your day with us.
Yeah, thank you for having me. And actually, it is 6th year.
6th year,
crazy
of course.
Enough. Yeah.
So, and again, we'll get into your story here in a second. That's obviously a big part of it.
Yeah.
So you actually spent a lot of time in enemy territory. You got your undergraduate from Akron. Before we get into that, though, I wanted to ask you, I mean, running is something a lot of people start from a young age. When did you start running? When did you know you wanted to do this competitively?
Yeah, so I probably started running when I was 8 or 9, just casual 5Ks with my dad, just local, like just random, really no training for him, just kind of started running with him. And then like throughout elementary school, like gym classes were just running around playgrounds and stuff, like just 1 lap, then 2 lap, then 3 laps and whatever up until a mile. And I just found out that I was pretty good at running through that specifically. And then once middle school came around, I just kind of knew that I could be pretty good at it. And then from there, just kind of kept with it.
This is how we know you're a professional. The words casual 5K will never appear back-to-back in my vocabulary. So you do get your undergraduate degree from Akron.
Yeah.
I mean, again, you had the 1 extra year of eligibility left. That brought you here. But, I mean, overall, what brought you from Akron to the rival school down the road here to Kent State?
So, the story is kind of weird, and that we'll get into why it's a 6th year. So, I graduated from Akron in 2020, and then I took some time off. So I started at Akron in 2016, used my 4 years, graduated in 2020. Then the 2020-2021 school year I took off, and then restarted back in school here at Kent in the fall of 21, and so now it's this year, so my 6th year. Started here because I had the opportunity to be a graduate assistant coach under head coach Bill Lawson, and cross-country coach James Croft, and so it just seemed like a great opportunity to continue my education and be able to be part of the coaching staff, and so that's kind of how I started here.
Sure. I know a lot of people, when you think about coaching, basketball players, even at a high level, you still adjust little things in your shot. I mean, with running, I know a lot of people stereotypically probably think it's just, we'll run faster. But I mean, what specifically do you coach within running once these athletes have already been running their entire lives?
So a lot of it is consistency,
Okay.
And I'm sure that's the same with a ton of sports, just being as consistent as possible. And so, like, I think on the flip side, like, my role is to just be there and help with kind of providing some input for workouts or for easy runs or just like kind of anything. I'm not making the final decision really ever, but just being another person, kind of a sounding board for James sometimes, Coach Croft. But yeah, I mean, just consistency is the big thing, really.
Sure. So, you spent, as I said, a lot of time in what we like to call enemy territory, and I'm sure that was the same spectrum on your side. But when you come to Kent State, I mean, what has your experience here been like working with the Flashes? Has it been a little weird working for and running for the direct rival school to where you were?
So you'd think it'd be really weird, but it hasn't been really too much. I mean, so when I took the time off, like, that was kind of a year of just being really not involved in any team. I wasn't at Kent, and I wasn't at Akron, and I got my degree from Akron, so it was like, my time there was just up, and my time here started. And so it hasn't really been that weird, and I think that the other thing is, like, runners are generally pretty friendly. So, like, when I was at Akron, my experience with the Kent State athletes was generally pretty friendly. So it hasn't been any kind of weird, like, animosity towards each other or anything like that.
Sure.
So it's been fun.
Okay, fair enough. We'll take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll have more with Nick Stricklen here on Flash Life. The 10th Annual Athletics Scholarship Auction returns to Center Court of the Mack Center April 22nd for a night of fun, food, and festivities while raising important resources in support of student-athlete scholarships. Attendees will have the opportunity to bid on items throughout the night and participate in a live auction. Stay tuned to KentStateSports.com for the announcement of the guest host for the event later this week. Back here on Flash Live, Tyler Henry joined by Nick Stricklen, the super duper senior here at Kent State. Again, we talked about it taking your 6th year. And I mean, again, you have a chance to get back on the competitive scene in cross country and in track. What has that been like for you? I mean, again, you went from running to coaching and now back into running again.
Yeah, it's been honestly really awesome. So once I finished my career at Akron, I took time off of running completely. Like, I just stopped running for a while. I just needed a little bit of a break. My time at Akron was not really the success I wanted. I wish I had competed a little bit better. And then when I took time off, it was kind of a nice reset in a way. And then when I kind of restarted training last summer, things started clicking right for me. And then once I realized I actually had the opportunity to run again, I felt like I had to. Like, it was an opportunity that I wasn't going to have really ever again. I'm going to be able to run really and compete for however long I'm able to, but for a team, like, this was really going to be my last opportunity, and I wanted to take advantage of it.
Sure. So here in your final season, I mean, again, we're probably a little over halfway through depending on how deep the teams go into the NCAAs, but again, we're about halfway through the spring seasons. What is left for you that you want to accomplish here in your final year, and what is the team hoping to accomplish this season?
Yeah, so I'll start with the team first because we have some big goals. Really, we're looking at the MAC championship. We would like to win on the men and the women's side as a team, and I think that we have the talent to do it. Coming off of the indoor season, we definitely left a little bit out there, but we also are ahead of where the team was last year. And so I think that, that's a big goal that we're having, and we're very, very excited about it. In terms of my personal goals, like, I would like to run personal bests.
Sure.
I would like to try to compete with some school records that we have. In like the 10K, 5K, and the steeplechase, like, depending on what events I end up running, I would like to at least try to compete for them. But I think at the end of the day, it comes down to just running a personal best.
Sure.
Yeah.
We talk a lot about events, and again, I mean, you've competed in everything from the 800 all the way up to the 10K. The steeplechase throws a lot into that as well. Yeah. What is your favorite event to run in, and what is the worst event to run in your opinion?
Okay, so my favorite event is probably the steeplechase.
Okay.
I would say it's fun. It just is a new element, running over, jumping over barriers and then over a water pit as well. It's just like different. It adds a different element that I don't know. I always describe it as when you're running, you're just kind of suffering the whole time. It's pretty painful just throughout the entire race. But when you add barriers to it, you don't really have time to think about it.
Right.
Really, what you're thinking about is getting over the next barrier. So it's kind of fun. And then the worst event, probably the 800.
Yeah. That's what we hear a lot. I mean, because it's not a jog, but you can't sprint it like a 100. But you still, miserable stuff. Also, good to know that from a professional to somebody who does not run at all, it's good to know that we all suffer when we run. I thought that was just me, but apparently that's something that involves everybody.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. I mean, again, you ran your first ever marathon distance competitively at the Akron Marathon.
Right.
You won it.
Right.
On your first try. How?
Consistency, like I was talking about earlier. So about a year ago is kind of when I restarted running again after taking time off. In April of last year, I just kind of decided that I wanted to run a marathon because that was just it's kind of the next thing to do after college, really. Like, there's 5Ks, there's 10Ks, road races, but it's just few and far between. Really, the next big thing is the marathon, and so I just set my goals on running the Akron Marathon, since, I still live in Akron.
Sure.
And so, like, that was just, like, the roads that I run on every day, and so that's how I chose that one. But in terms of, like, my performance, I just really upped my mileage, started running a lot more every single day, and, it just paid off. I have a lot of, mentors in the Akron area who are, marathoners themselves. Like, there's a couple guys I train with who are either Olympic trials qualifiers or USA track and field qualifiers.
All right, casual marathon runner Nick Stricklen. We will be back with more right after this. You're listening to Flash Life. Thank you. Can't get your fix for all things Kent State athletics? Head on over to KentStateSports.com to get schedules, results, feature stories, radio, and video coverage of the Golden Flashes. Don't forget to pick up tickets and official gear only on KentStateSports.com. That's KentStateSports.com. Back here on Flash Life, Tyler Henry joined by sixth-year senior Nick Stricklen of the Kent State track and field team. And Nick, we always like to have a little bit of fun with our athletes here, get to know you guys a little bit better, and again, get into some questions that maybe you haven't been asked before. First of all, is there anything left? You've run the marathon, you've competed in all these events. Is there anything left on your runner's bucket list?
A little bit. I'd like to run a 100-mile race at some point. Last summer, I was kind of close. I ran, I don't know if you're familiar with the towpath.
I am not, no.
I ran the length of the towpath,
which
is 88 miles.
Okay.
So I'm pretty close to it.
Sure.
So that's on the running bucket list, a 100-mile race.
I would like to run 100 miles cumulatively until I die. Like, I think that is about all the running that I can take. What is the funniest or weirdest thing that has ever happened to you while running? Doesn't even have to be in a competition, just period.
Well, I was in a race while I was competing for Akron, and I got tripped up, fell, and broke my clavicle and had surgery 2 days later.
Oh, like while running?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
I was in the middle of a race.
That is,
running is historically not a contact sport.
Right.
But, I got tripped up and fell right on my shoulder and broke my clavicle.
Well, we're glad that you've recovered.
Yeah.
Do you have any hidden talents?
I can ride a unicycle while juggling.
That is incredible. Now I wish we had a unicycle and something for you to juggle, but unfortunately we do not. Who on the track and field team would win in a karaoke contest?
Oh, man. Probably Shadrach Kipkoske.
Okay. I like the confidence of that answer.
Yeah, well, he's the only one I've ever heard sing.
Okay.
And, sometimes when he's running, he starts singing. So, probably him.
Fair enough. This is the most important question that we'll ask you on the show. This is far and away. Just think very carefully before you answer this. Does pineapple belong on pizza?
See, I don't hate it, but I don't ever choose it.
Okay, that is fair enough. You came very close to being the first athlete to just be like, yes, it absolutely belongs there, but you didn't, and I respect you for that. Outside of running, what sport would you consider yourself to be the best at if you were to compete in something else?
Swimming.
Okay.
Right, yeah. I was a swimmer in high school. So,
okay. Fair enough. Our last question for you here. I mean, again, you're in an additional year of eligibility. You've had all of this time here at Akron, at Kent State. But again, when it's all said and done, what's next for Nick Stricklen?
Just keep on running. I mean, I right now, so I'm using my eligibility right now, but next semester I'll go back to being a GA. So on the coaching side, other than that, really not much different. I mean, I'll continue to run. I'll continue to coach. That's what's next.
All right. Nick, thank you so much for coming on today.
Thanks so much, Tyler.
All right. That's all we've got for you this week. Be sure to check out KentStateSports.com for schedules and updates. And as we leave, let's take one last look at the men's track and field team as they competed earlier this week.